On February 12, 2011, the impossible happened to close friends Grant Lockenbach and Michael Peary of the University of Florida, who went exploring Ellison's cave in Walker County, Georgia. After a few moments of excitement and awe, they'd find themselves battling for their lives. This is their story.
One of the most technical caves in the United States. They have the deepest free-fall pit in the U.S.
That day, Lockenbach, Peary, and a group of 8 other students, 3 boys and 5 girls, embarked on what was supposed to be an exciting adventure. As they journeyed towards Ellison's cave, nestled deep within Walker County on Pigeon Mountain in Georgia, they couldn't help but feel a rush of anticipation. This cave, renowned as one of the best in America, held within its depths the promise of discovery and wonder. However, what began as a thrilling escapade soon turned into a harrowing ordeal. The biting cold, far more intense than they had anticipated, began to seep into their bones as they made their way up the mountain, with Lockenbach and Peary both dressed exactly as they had been on a previous cave expedition, being in casual clothes wearing only t-shirts and shorts. Despite their excitement, they hadn't prepared for the frigid temperatures, nor had they brought their cell phones or made the decision to briefly turn back to find a place to quickly purchase additional equipment. These were all decisions the group would eventually come to regret. Upon reaching the cave's entrance after an hour-long hike, they were met with a sight that filled them with both awe and trepidation. The narrow opening, jagged and foreboding, seemed to beckon them into the unknown darkness beyond. With a mixture of agitation and apprehension, they descended into the depths of the cave, their headlamps piercing the darkness as they ventured further inside. Amidst the beauty of the cave's interior, they couldn't ignore the biting cold that seemed to pervade every corner. Home to the deepest free-fall cave in the country and multiple interior waterfalls, Ellison's cave is known to host inhumanly glacial waters that are 54 degrees Fahrenheit on average during the summer, let alone in the winter when these kids were exploring. As they marched on, intending only to go in for a brief trip, tragedy struck in the most unexpected of ways. A backpack containing essential supplies slipped from one of the students' grasp and fell into a vertical pit of 125 feet known as the warm-up pit. Despite the risks, Grant, displaying characteristic bravery and leadership, volunteered to retrieve the bag to the dismay and worry of his friends. Grabbing a rope and a harness, he rappelled down into the pit to search for the bag, then soon found himself in a perilous situation. The cold, already biting, intensified as he descended further, and a roaring waterfall to his back only added to his sense of dread, as well as deafening his voice. Without ever having found the bag, he quickly became more concerned when, just mere inches in front of the icy cold waterfall, he found himself stuck as his rope snagged in his descender. Trying desperately and understandably panicked, Grant struggled for several minutes by forcing the rope back and forth, as well as jerking it about. Unfortunately, he only ended up tangling his arm and both his legs, now entrapping himself and unable to do anything other than scream for help at the top of his lungs. Above ground, his friends could only watch in horror as the situation unfolded. Michael, not hesitating for a moment, descended into the pit to aid his friend. However, he made a fatal mistake. He decided to use the same rope Grant had used. And inevitably, upon trying to get his friend loose, he fell victim to the same treacherous conditions, with both boys now dangling perilously, with no options or time to think. Both screaming for help, their friends tried to reassure them, with a few of them calling 911 and attempting to find the local park and caving service to procure a rescue team. The other students recalled keeping communication with Grant and Michael. However, after only 20-30 minutes, their voices fell faint, and the rope only swayed from side to side every so often. As time passed, the situation grew increasingly dire, even after getting rescuers to the cave, and the well-equipped professionals leaping down to untangle the boys. They were too late to free the trapped students from their icy prison. Grant Lockenbach and Michael Peary were gone. As the rescue work carried on to remove the students from their grave, the cavern was filled with inconsolable wails and sobs. After another 8 hours of working to get them untangled, their bodies were eventually lifted to the surface, where their friends broke down yet again, and the terrible news was eventually delivered to the outside world. Michael and Grant, two bright and promising young men, had succumbed to the unforgiving cold of the cave. Their loss was felt deeply by their families, friends, and the University of Florida community. In the wake of the tragedy, the memory of Grant and Michael have been honored for both heroism and bravery in unthinkable odds, serving as a reminder of the dangers that lurk in the darkness. In spite of the sorrow, there is also hope, as their legacy is kept alive through scholarships and memorials, ensuring that their spirit of adventure and camaraderie will never be forgotten. If you enjoyed this video, kindly leave a like and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.